without smoking weed. Congratulations to me.
Of course you would start
Company
saying.
random test.
Of course you would start saying that as I start recording. Like that's the first line that everyone's gonna hear. We are
Random.
live.
I say that in the same way that rappers do. It's all for the show.
Yeah, it's vague. Just like how this is grape juice.
Yeah.
And this is
Technically,
not
there wasn't
vodka.
grape juice involved.
All right, that's all good. That's good. That's recording.
Yeah, my gangster lifestyle, drinking some Merlot.
Merlot.
From a goblet made of glass.
Well. Okay.
Oh shit.
What?
Moving camera? Are we
Well-
not professional?
No, well, I
Can't-
thought for some reason I thought it would change the angle, but it didn't. It just went not at an angle.
It's called panning, Mo.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Scrub.
All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Yes.
Here we go.
Drink nail polish, get drunk.
Maybe if you want to go blind.
Oh.
And with that, welcome to episode 38 of the Secret Calamo podcast. Once again, my name is Mo. With me, I have Derek,
Hi, folks.
and I got Corey.
Yo.
So, a little bookkeeping. If you're listening to the audio podcast, you'll notice that you're going to get 2 episodes back to back. That's because Podbean decided not to publish the previous episode, the audio, for some reason. I don't know exactly what happened. And so if you see 2 back to back, today's and 2 weeks ago, I think, that's why, because Podbean's being kind of silly. So if you have your set to only keep 1 podcast at a time, you've probably missed last episode, so double check that. How have you guys been today? Thankfully, there's been a ton of news since we've last talked to one another.
Yeah, we got a ton to talk about. So
Yes. So normally we would be saying what we've been playing and doing and things like that, but we're going to cut all that out today and get right to the point of the show.
Good. Go.
So do you want to start with the big news, or do you want to ramp up to the big story?
which one's big?
The PewDiePie
You
one.
pick, Mo.
I
okay.
fuck. Well, how are you going to tell me to pick and then be disappointed by my decision?
Do the PewDiePie one. Do the PewDiePie one.
All right.
Because that's the one I'm
PewDiePie.
most invested in, seeing as I like YouTube.
All right.
Yeah, let's talk about it. It's the controversial one.
All right. So, the Wall Street Journal on Monday wrote an article about some anti-Semitic content with the YouTuber PewDiePie. If you don't know, PewDiePie is like the biggest YouTuber ever. He's got over 5 million subscribers to his
50.
channel. 50
I was gonna say,
million.
more than that.
Sorry,
There's lots of people have
50 million.
50 million. I moved the decimal place. 50 million subscribers. Started out doing a bunch of Let's Plays. Now he does less Let's Plays and more other things, I guess. So anyway, the Wall Street Journal wrote this article on Monday. And then both Disney Disney dropped him completely from their lineup. They're no longer associated with him anymore. And YouTube has canceled his YouTube Red show scaring PewDiePie, and they've dropped him from the premier list of ad tiers that YouTubers get.
Yep.
So then, I guess was it Thursday or Friday? I can't remember which day it was. So someday last week, after the fallout, PewDiePie went ahead and made a video apologizing for the content, and then kind of attacking the Wall Street Journal for their story against him. So that's where we currently are right now. And I know, Corey, you know more about him than I think either me and Derek do. Let's go and start with you. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I've been a subscriber to PewDiePie since he was doing the Amnesia runs way back in the day. That'd be like 2012, so like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, the reason why he's moved away from the Let's Plays is it's like an oversaturated market now.
Mhm.
Anyone can just pop open the video, record for like an hour, chop it up into 10-minute bits and then upload it. So to like stay ahead of the curve, he's done more like skit type stuff where he'll like focus on something going on online and then just like meme about it basically. But he still does a couple video game things, and he still hangs out with other YouTubers that do gaming things.
Right.
But everything that he's been into recently, and like specifically what the Wall Street Journal went after, is they just picked out bits and pieces where he was being ridiculous. When they announced the YouTube Heroes thing, he was talking about how it sounded very like authoritarian, very giving too much power to people to completely censor folks, and he said it was like Nazis. And so he dressed up in a very strict uniform and then played a Hitler video and stared at it and smiled, as if to say, this is what YouTube's doing.
Right.
Then he had another one where there was a service where you can pay people money and then they'll do a video of your choice.
Oh, Fiverr.
And so he wanted to prove that people would do anything for money. So he put death to all Jews, and the two guys did it, and he sat there and was shocked that they would actually do that for the $5. But ultimately, like he said, I can't believe they do that, this is kind of ridiculous, blah blah blah. The whole point was that it was a ridiculous thing for them to do. And then another one of the videos they took out of context was literally someone else had attacked him for that previous death to all Jews thing and said that he was a Nazi, and he was like, oh my gosh, people take everything out of context, you make it sound like I'm doing this, and then he acted like a Nazi. And then they took that clip of him saying people take me out of context and used it in the context of him being a Nazi. And to top it off, the Daily Stormer decided to put him up as like their #1 fan. And they used that against him as if that was him endorsing neo-Nazis or something, when it was them jumping on him. And the supreme irony of all this is, after the news broke and it kind of circulated around, they now have, the Daily Stormer now has those Wall Street Journal editors or journalists on there. So, you know, if that's their argument, they too are Nazi sympathizers.
Yeah.
So in the end, to me, this is reminding me a lot of a particular gaming thing from a couple years ago, where some group of people were called literally Nazis and terrible harassers, and they had no chance to defend themselves. And then the Wall Street Journal and, oh my God, Vice and a ton of other places. I can't even name them all off because they all went, oh, a sensational, controversial story. Let's all post it without fact-checking anything. And so the story spread around. In a couple of days, Disney Maker Studio pulled him from their channel partnership, and then YouTube Red canceled his thing. And in his apology video, he was like, don't be mad at them. It makes sense. This is a whole lot of negative PR, and it makes sense for them to distance themselves. So don't be mad at them. Be mad at the journalists that kind of pushed them into that corner. And he did apologize because he was like, look, I understand that a lot of people can get upset with that kind of humor that is obviously over the line. But he has to, like, it's a little bit ridiculous that he has to say, no, I'm not a Nazi. I'm just acting silly and doing silly things. If you take it that way, that's a little ridiculous. So that's pretty much my take and my understanding of it. I don't really know how much more ridiculous this could be. Because obviously, if you look at any of the videos, if you look at any of the source material, he's not, like, supporting any kind of Nazi rhetoric. He's not supporting any kind of, like, anti-Semitism. He's making jokes and using Hitler as the outrageous element to it. If he had put, like, Kim Jong-un in there instead, it would be the same effect. It just wouldn't be as funny because he's not considered as evil or as psychopathic, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Derek?
I don't really disagree with anything Corey just said. The most part, I mean, that's a pretty clear synopsis. My the kind of angle I'm viewing it from is a bit different from Corey's, mostly just like personal opinion, not really a statement of ethics here. But I see PewDiePie, who has literally made a living, a very lucrative living, making edgy, often tasteless humor, getting paid lots of money to do it, so that's what he does. Making some edgy and fairly tasteless jokes, because that's his job. And the Wall Street Journal's response to it was, or their reporting of it was done very much in the style of an attack. I'm very hesitant to use the all too often touted term witch hunt because it gets thrown around really quickly.
Yeah.
But they gave a very biased spin in their reporting. Like Corey said, there was a lot of cherry picking and things taken completely out of context, very blatantly. I was just rolling with the fact that most people won't fact check anything, so why would they? They also, get paid money to make stories that people will click on, and so that's what they did. And I think the way they did that was also pretty sleazy. So PewDiePie made some tasteless jokes. They really sleazily took advantage of that, and everybody gave all of them lots of money to do it, which is why it all happens.
Yeah.
YouTube and Disney Maker Studio, I think, are definitely reacting to the publicity covering those videos, regardless of how accurate it is to those videos, because they didn't kick him off when he made the videos. They kicked him off after the articles came out, which, again, I understand, especially from Disney's standpoint, because, frankly, they've got a bit of a history with the whole anti-Semitism thing. So they're probably a little gun-shy about anything that looks even vaguely like that.
Yeah.
Can't say I'm surprised there. Kind of surprised on YouTube's part. Like, he's a big deal for them. And that's a big jump, especially when the context of things is getting toted around a lot. Like, people in the YouTube community see a lot more of what's going on. Frankly, if anything, there's a whole lot of people biased heavily in favor of him. So that's gonna be looked at badly, regardless of whether it's legit or not. So I'm surprised that YouTube went that far with it. I mean, they didn't ban him altogether. They just sort of like kicked him off the top pedestal. But in either case, like, it's still going to look really bad. It's going to piss off roughly 50 million people. So,
yeah.
Not to mention, like, how many people do you think bought YouTube Red just for PewDiePie? I mean, he's got 50 million subscribers, and he had an exclusive show on there. I feel like they were making money off of that. And then
I would say at least a million people. I was gonna say, like, just because he's got 50 million subscribers, I'd say there's probably at least, what would that be, 2% of his
that'd be 0.2%, wouldn't it?
1 million out of 50 million would be 2%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
2%.
yeah.
Yeah, one out of 50. Yeah. Got a math and wine.
I was thinking he had 50 billion, and that would be moving those decibels a little bit too far. Decimals.
Fucking decimals.
How do they work?
Yeah, let's continue. My little aside.
Like, shoot, now I kind of lost my train of thought. But the way that they went about it was just incredibly dishonest, and I feel like YouTube responding that way is only going to shoot themselves in the foot. But they might be able to get away with it because obviously this is now put mainstream against internet stream. Like, you have online journalists versus YouTube celebrities, and so YouTube could probably like take him off the. I mean, they didn't really kick him off the top pedestal. It's not like they took his subscribers away, but they took away his other form of monetization, and they took away his channel partner, which is another form of publication. So that really sucks for him. But on the other hand, all of this controversy has gotten him so many more subscribers over the past week. I think he went from having like somewhere around 5,000 subscribers a day up to like 10,000, so like doubling. All of this exposure is just helping him out. And now on top of that, I think in another one of my YouTubers that are watching, and they're like, he's a free agent now. Any other studio, any other contract can pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
He's worth so much. And if he does some kind of like paid promotional thing with them, or even just has their logo in the corner, he's probably going to make a ton of money from that. So he's probably not that bad off.
He's not in danger of his lights being turned off, frankly.
Yeah.
Right. I think from my perspective, PewDiePie's style of, I guess, humor or entertainment, I guess, isn't necessarily up my alley. That's just not my thing. I can see where, given the current political climate we're in and what's going on, I can see why the Wall Street Journal would publish this kind of story, given what's going on in politics and things like that. So I can kind of understand why they would take this and say, "Oh, look at this." I don't want to necessarily say. I wouldn't go as far as to say they were like nefarious and did it because of for clicks and things like that. I just think that they didn't understand his style of humor.
No.
I
think that is total bullshit, because you would have to intentionally take the context out of at least two of those in order to make that work. The one where he was specifically making a video saying, people take me out of context, they make it look like I'm a Nazi. If I did this, they would make me look like a Nazi, and then acted like one. And then they literally took that edited video of him saying, this is me being taken out of context, and then put it up there in the context of him being a Nazi. Like, you had to have been dishonest to do that. How could they not?
I give them enough credit to think that they're not that incompetent to just, whoops, oh, I got confused on the internet. Where are my pills? Like, no, I usually pretty. I give people the benefit of a doubt, usually further than they deserve, and even I'm like, no, you guys are being assholes for money.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of weird. Like, I just don't know. Like, maybe it is a combination of them, like, going for the clicks, and and some other combination of them just not getting it. For the most part.
Extent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't buy PewDiePie's full pitch about they hate me, so they're hunting me down.
No, I agree. I agree. I don't agree with that. That's
definitely an exaggeration.
Yeah.
I think they probably don't like him from a professional standpoint, because there's plenty to not like you're a professional journalism, and this is some moron making silly videos, and he's rolling in cash way more than you make, and that's probably going to annoy just about anybody.
Well, I mean,
so I'm sure you have no friends over there.
Yeah, but I don't think they would. I think if we're going to make that argument, I would say that they did it more for the clicks than screw you, PewDiePie, you making millions of dollars for being stupid online.
It's some pretty nice gravy, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess.
It could be, I mean, I don't want to put on my tinfoil hat because I don't know the motivations of the people. They haven't been explicit. But I do feel like there is a growing hostility between standard TV and internet TV. And with the growing popularity of not just YouTube, but of Netflix and Hulu versus cable TV and traditional news sources like newspapers and not so much blogs, because blogs kind of go into the internet side, but I feel like a lot of traditional news sources are kind of moving in that direction anyway. But I feel like they're threatened by it, and for good reason. A lot of internet type media is more easily consumable, more convenient, and I think they have a good reason to be threatened by it. Now, why would the Wall Street Journal attack PewDiePie? It would make more sense for them to go after Philip DeFranco or some other news show. I would only suggest that if they were targeting a YouTuber because they're a YouTuber and they went after Felix, it's because A, he's more of an easy target because of the nature of his humor, and B, because he's got 50 million subscribers, and even if they have bad press, bad press is still press. So that's
Right.
going to get them clicks. So
And
that's my best guess. And that is a little tinfoil hatty. I know it's kind of conspiratorial, but I think there's good reason to believe that they're threatened by online activity, and they're kind of testing to see if they can bring someone down with a hit piece. And it's not going to work because that hasn't worked in the past because of the Streisand effect. But
Yes, exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if they were like looking for a target, or more if it's just the fact that like he's a very big,
target.
frankly, pretty annoying member of the other side as they see it, and so that's why they were already paying attention to him. And then he gave them an opportunity where they're like, "Oh, let's do that." Like, I feel like it was probably opportunistic. They saw him give them something they could work with, and then worked it.
Not only that, but I think like we can look into recent history. Like, I don't know, maybe the election. Did calling Trump a racist, a bigot, and all of that stuff stop him from being popular? Heck no.
No.
Are you going to like take away PewDiePie's user base by calling him out? No. I mean, you took away his Maker Studio and you took away YouTube Red from him, which I guess is a victory for you. But like I said, he's still getting more subscribers than he was before, and now he's a free agent and he can contract up and maybe get a better deal now that he's even more popular. You might have done him a favor for all we know. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like if they were trying to do something moral, they did a bad job at it. And if they were doing something immoral, then they did a bad job at it. Either way, they seem to have fucked up, and everyone hates them, aside from, I guess, their most diehard fans.
Of the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
guess.
yeah. Or at least of those journalists, at least. The Wall Street Journal's fucking huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, those particular ones. Because,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some like reactionary articles that'll come out being like, oh yeah, those guys were awful. See, ooh, look, we have balance of opinion here.
yeah.
And they'll
Yeah.
cover
Which frankly
themselves
would
with
be
it.
good journalism, but it's also good PR, so it's kind of hard to view it in a totally positive light.
Yeah.
As a somewhat different angle on this, I don't know if we need to move on quick, but coming back to like a little less focus on like PewDiePie and the Wall Street Journal, and I don't want to try and like go dissect like PewDiePie's videos or his brand of humor or whatnot. I've already said it is not at all my style.
Mhm.
I was offended by the content, not because of what was written on the sign, but because the whole point was let's get people to do stupid things for $5 because I've got money to throw at humiliating people. Like,
Ye-
so that's the part that kind of offended me. It was it was sleazy and lame, but plenty of people pay lots of money for lots of that kind of entertainment. I fear more of them than me. But one little comment that kind of made me have a thought. When Corey was talking earlier, he said it's ridiculous that someone has to come out and say, I'm not actually anti-Semitic. I'm not actually a neo-Nazi. I don't actually support that hatred. It is pretty messed up that I think, to a certain extent, people today in America and certain parts of Europe do kind of need to say that, because there are more and more people actually saying that. Like, there are more than a few people who live in my country today who very much believe, yeah, death to all Jews. Awesome. Like, and that's very concerning. It's also probably a good sign to maybe not make, at least not, tasteless jokes about it. Again, probably a poor choice. I think going with Kim Jong-un instead of Hitler probably would have been a much more, in-line set of jokes with the current zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like, it is unfortunate that I think occasionally it is actually necessary. I think it's really fucked up that that's the case.
Well, not only
that's
that,
really
but
where
he can backpedal and apologize, and then the next article the Wall Street Journal wrote was like, apologizing is just signaling to Nazis that you actually stand for it. Like, you just put him into a corner where he can't even like invalidate your claims. If he says yes, then he's a Nazi. If he says no, he's a secret Nazi. Like,
yeah.
Yes. It's like standard like abuser behavior. Like, you call them out and then they're like, hey, calm the fuck down, you're nuts. Like, they're just gonna twist whatever you put in. It's a catch-22 they engineered. So that's, again, shitty. I I don't side with either of them. I think they're both being really shitty at each other and but they're each making lots of money off of it. So frankly, it's a pretty good, if not really unhealthy, business relationship.
Yeah. My one fear is now YouTube has set a precedent for this when it comes to their content creators. Like they've dropped his show and they've dropped one of his biggest forms of advertising. And YouTube, we've talked about this before on the podcast. YouTube takes a very, 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 very hands-off approach on content on their site unless it gets ridiculous and like just totally out of control. And I wonder how this is going to affect future content creators they want to bring under them, like put them on that top pedestal. Like, are they now going to have to not necessarily edit, but kind of censor what they say? I mean, everyone could agree. Like, Nazis is no good. Like that's easy. That's easy. But when that line starts to shift, like how far in one direction or the other is YouTube gonna have to be? Who's the next person who's going to press it? What about a content creator with 30 million people that's using racial slurs? Like, is that a bad thing now? Because if YouTube doesn't do anything, they're saying that's acceptable, and so they look bad either way.
Almost like, I don't know, just more like off-putting is it's not really even YouTube, because again, YouTube's stance has been for a long time very hands-off and extremely lenient.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really, and again, YouTube didn't react to the videos, they didn't react to the content or anything like that. They reacted to the Wall Street Journal.
To the Wall Street Journal, right?
Well, arguably they reacted to Disney, and they're like, "Oh shit, we should probably follow suit there."
Yeah.
But it kind of signals other folks like the Wall Street Journal and Disney that they can muscle YouTube into dancing to their beat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that they probably already knew that, but still, it announces that pretty clearly. So that's unsettling.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Do we have anything else about the topic we want to talk about?
Nope.
I'm good there.
Cool.
I think we'll just be redundant from here.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Break our trend of repeating yourself 3 times before we move on.
Yeah. So Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the first Zelda game to get DLC for it. Straight for Nintendo, this expansion pass will be $20 and come with 2 DLC packs. One will add a hard mode and a Cave of Trials, while the other will add a new dungeon and new original story. And with this whole package also comes with Link wearing a shirt with the Switch logo as a little cherry on top.
Yeah. I got really tempted to like start analyzing the content and the price. And, is that a good value compared to other stuff? But I kind of want to, like, set that aside for now. We'll comment on that. I want to come back to it. But just, Nintendo's never done this. Actually, so they've never done it with Zelda. Has Nintendo ever done, like, first-party Nintendo games with DLC?
They've done Mario Kart 8 and Smash Brothers. Are the two off the top of my head.
Mario Kart and Smash, yeah. They didn't do season passes. And they didn't do... Did they do day 1 DLC for either of those?
I don't think it was
I don't
day
think so.
one. It might have been... No, wait. I don't think it was day 1 for the Smash on the DS. I think that DLC launched the same day as the Wii U, and the Wii U version had day 1 DLC, if I remember correctly, because I think Mewtwo was day 1 DLC.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, doesn't really make this any better. It's more just that it already do stuff like this before, but it's on sacred ground though. Like, you take a dump in someone's backyard, big deal. Okay, fine, that's pretty lame. But you take a dump like on their front doorstep, like right on the doormats, on top of the Triforce. Like, not Zelda, not fucking Zelda. Like,
and honestly, I think the worst part is I think it's a cash-in because they know that Zelda's going to be the only game they have for a while, and that's sad. It is incredibly sad that they're launching another system where they have one killer app, and instead of putting more into more games, they're just going to be like, well, let's try to milk more money out of this one game. No, Nintendo.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a lot of that there.
They're still terrible at everything online as is. I mean, like, I'm sure the Switch is still going to have friend codes. I'm sure they're still going to have problems like having random lobbies and like ladders in their games and stuff because they're just fucking terrible at it. But they're going to jump on the other bad aspects of online stuff of having DLC, other paid content. No, stop.
My biggest thing is I don't necessarily mind DLC. I hate it when someone announces DLC and don't tell me what's in it. Like, that's the biggest thing I hate.
Yeah.
And, like, what does hard mode mean? Does it mean enemies have more health points and hit you for harder? Because if that's it, then fuck that. Like, no. But if you're going to turn it into, like, Ocarina of Time Master Quest, then okay, I'm fine with that. You're adjusting things and you're moving things around other than just numbers.
Yeah. Also, what's the base difficulty of the game intended?
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
Did you make the base game easier, and now we're making me pay for normal difficulty?
Exactly.
Like, that's pretty hairy.
And
not to mention, why do I need a Switch logo on Link?
Thank you.
I already bought the system.
No, and I don't want that either. Like, it's like if it were like a cool, color of his tunic
Dark
or whatever. Yeah, or if it were Dark Link, that'd be fine. But no, you're breaking the fourth wall at that point, and that's not with a Zelda game that has never happened before. It's just like, why?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, still from the meta perspective, before I dive into the content, I'm trying to think of like the what and why of it. Like, obviously, part of the why is always going to be because it's a good financial decision. It's good business. You will make more money doing it. So why wouldn't you? I want to suggest a possible, if not more virtuous, less shitty reason that might be driving it, at least partially. Breath of the Wild is a big game, and we've talked before, the price lock on games is part of what drives DLC. Like, could it be, do you two think, that Breath of the Wild in its entirety is basically an $80 game? But we can't sell an $80 game.
Yeah.
We're going to chop off part of it and sell them that for $20.
I don't subscribe to the fact that someone makes a full game and then cuts out pieces and sells it. I don't necessarily think. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think on the whole, I don't think that happens. I think that they think of like, oh, this could be cool, so we're going to work on it as a side project, and then that becomes DLC. My problem is that they don't just, like, 2 days before the system comes out, they're not cooking up DLC ideas. Like, that DLC idea was in the works for many years alongside the game, so there's no reason for you to tell me what that DLC is, because you know what it is. Like, don't hide it from me and expect me to blindly pay for it, because that's not going to happen.
Not to mention they said that it's a full separate story, which makes me think that it wasn't part of the original content. It was like maybe going to be like maybe they were going to put Breath of the Wild on the Wii U and they already had another project in the works where they started storyboarding and stuff, and then when the time came around to put it onto the Switch, they were like, well, we already have the story and a lot of assets in the work already built for the Switch. So why don't we just make it DLC and wrap it up pretty quick as just a little add-on instead of making a full another game?
Mm-hmm.
Because that would kind of make sense to me from a development standpoint. Another way to get early money out of that system, and maybe they weren't fully invested in the project. I don't know, but it's hard to say without seeing the content and knowing what the content is.
To answer my own question. Based on what's been described in very small details of the content thus far, I don't think it is the rest of the game. It sounds very much like something that was added to it. It's an extra dungeon that is presumably a standalone story. So it's probably like it's like an extra episode, after the movie.
Yeah.
Or like a side character that you meet throughout the quest, and then they have their own little side adventure or something.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the other part of it, like, hard mode isn't more content. It almost definitely is. Like, unless they have new enemies that don't normally pop up in the game, and they add those in, or like or substitute them for other in-game enemies. Which, if that's the case, then
then I'm all over
I'll eat
that.
these words.
Yeah.
But if it's just harder difficulty, like enemies hit harder and have more HP, move faster, less dumb AI,
less forgiving.
that's not content.
Yeah.
That's not content. There's no content there. It's adjustment of variables. So there is no legitimate reason from a development standpoint that needs to be separate. I think it sounds a lot because so assuming the hard mode thing isn't a chunk of more challenging content that is added into the game, assuming it is just change of difficulty to make enemies less forgiving, like Corey said. That sounds like something they cut out and added to the extra dungeon to flesh it out to make it feel like a season pass instead of just one. Because it sounds like it's one DLC. You're buying a season pass for. I know it actually is laid out, but
yeah.
Well, it's in 2 chunks. But the content is a dungeon plus hard mode, a shirt, and some items.
Yes.
So the thing in this hard mode and some extra map features. I'm gonna pull up the other stuff, but like the summer release is just the hard mode and some extra features on the map, and I gotta go to the video and like pause it at the right point so I can see, because the article doesn't lay it out for me. But it's like, as far as actual content goes, the vast majority is on the holiday release. So to me, it sounds like it sounds like a DLC dungeon and some extra stuff they pulled out of the game and stuck on the side of it to call it a season pass instead of just one DLC dungeon, which is what it actually is. And that also sounds shady to me.
Here's what I think is gross about it. The DLC, I'm whatever. Tell me what it is. I'm not going to repeat myself. But the thing that makes it gross is that if you pre-purchase it, you get some treasure chests. One of them contains a shirt.
And to have practical items.
Right.
Useful items in there, like.
And the thing is,
they don't say what.
but they don't say what. But the thing is, like, they can't be like game-breaking items because that would be dumb. But they would.
They are. I don't want them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they're not, then why do the items exist? If they are, you're breaking your game. So it's why, like.
I'm thinking and it's a huge leap, so stick with me here, but I know a big mechanic in Breath of the Wild is that there's durability on your items and that you're going to have to constantly get new ones. So I think these like treasure chest items might be some kind of like recipe for making a new item, or maybe it's like armor or something like that gives you particular benefits, like maybe the ability to jump or run super fast or something like that.
Yeah.
Some like ease of life kind of items. That's what they would mean by practical benefit.
Or just some pre-built tools that are more durable than the stuff you usually make yourself at the start of the game. It's like starting out Minecraft with like a full set of steel tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't usually want that stuff. Like, you guys have probably noticed in the past, I have a history of playing games like 5 years after they come out when they're on the cheap, and I usually buy the like collector's edition with the DLC and stuff. But usually, like with this, the collector's pack with all the DLC has like 1, maybe 2 actual DLC things, plus like 5 packs of special items, like cool looking gear or just like extra gimmies. Like in Borderlands, I have the collector's edition of Borderlands 2, and you start the game with an assault rifle, a submachine gun, and a sniper rifle, and like fireworks grenade. And so I get to that first quest where it's like, find a pistol and shoot him. I'm like, fuck that, I got an assault rifle. Like, It's kind of pointless and makes the game easier. And like I just hate that kind of stuff. The same thing with in New Vegas, they had that. It's like you could start with like dynamite and a grenade launcher and a double barrel shotgun and shit like that. I'm like, I don't want to start with all that shit. I'm just gonna, like, what's the point then?
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna do like some gimme items, give me something that is unique and special and lets me kind of like start with a different play style that I normally wouldn't have access to. It's not better, but it's a side grade. Like that's the only way I would ever care about. Like here, you're gonna start with this free pack of items. Otherwise, I don't want the items. Like I'll usually like just throw them out or sell them or something because I don't want to
or
play on easy
intentionally
mode.
save them for a little bit later when they make more sense to have.
Yeah.
Like self restriction on it. You know, I'm gonna unlock these when I hit level 5 or something. Yeah.
Or like I'm gonna save this shotgun for Benny. That's what it's supposed to be.
Exactly, something like that. Because otherwise, I don't want them. Like it's a negative thing for me. And that's what half of this DLC is.
Yep. All right. What time is it? How much time do you have, Corey?
Let's do one more story, and if I need to dip in the middle of it, I will.
Okay, let's do the Valve Greenlight.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's jump on that.
Yeah. All right. So, this happened sometime last week, but so one of the ways a developer could get their game onto Steam was through Steam Greenlight. It was pretty much a voting system. You would put not the game up, but like the idea of the game up, and then people would go through the Steam Greenlight thing, either upvote or downvote or whatever. And once your game surpassed a certain amount of votes, it got approved to be on Steam. This has been controversial at times. This is how Hatred, the game we talked about many months ago, that's how that got onto Steam Greenlight, and that's how it got onto Steam. Mostly because people were like, this game is fucking stupid. Let's see if we get it on Steam Greenlight. Oh, look, it did. Yep. But Valve is cutting that off. Now it's a bit more... there's a lot more paperwork to get your game onto. I forget what they call the new system.
Direct.
Steam Direct. All right. Here's a quote of how it works. We'll ask new developers to complete a set of digital paperwork, personal or company verification, and tax documents similar to the process of applying for a bank account. Once set up, developers will pay a recoupable application fee for each new title they wish to distribute, which is intended to decrease the noise in the submission pipeline. So pretty much you can no longer depend on your internet popularity to get it on Greenlight. You actually have to be somewhat competent or have at least more of your ducks in a row before you even think about getting it onto Steam.
But they didn't really say what the application fee was going to be.
Yes.
Because that's what's scaring people. And I know I completely understand it, because if we're talking like $100 application fee, yeah, that's not bad. I can understand that. An indie dev can, scrape together some money and throw that at Steam and apply their game. And if it's a legit game, that would make sense. But if we're talking like $300, $500, $1,000, like, what is this? Is this a gateway? Is this to just keep shovelware off, or what's the point of it at that point?
I think that's exactly what it is. I think that they've realized that Steam has become very bloated with just all kinds of games. Like, it's ridiculous right now. And I think that's what they want to do. I think there's a quote in here, I can't find it right now, but just their pipeline is too clogged. There's too many things on Steam at this point. And so this is the way to kind of negate or relieve some of the pressure from games trying to get onto their platform.
Yeah, what I hope personally, and what I think is a good business choice for them, which will hopefully trick them into doing the right thing, is for it to be set pretty low. Because charging anything will stop probably at least like 20% of the games that get put up on Steam from getting put up on Steam. A lot of it is just people trying to like shove things in there. It's like, in the App Store, you get a whole bunch of like clones and knockoffs and stuff. People just shoving things up, hoping that people will download and give them some ad revenue. You can find a ton of absolute ass just slapped together out of pre-existing like free content, art pieces.
Yeah.
Assets.
Just full of ads. Yeah, assets. That's what I was trying to find.
And then charge $4.99 for it, and then you buy it and go, oh, oh, this is just, GTA if it was made for the Super Nintendo. Well,
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
but worse.
Yeah, or not even that. Sometimes it'll be a totally free game. It's just when you load it up, you start the game, watch an ad. Here's the tutorial. Tutorial's over. Watch an ad. All right, we're loading up the next level. Watch an ad. Like you're gonna watch like 5 ads before you realize it's a piece of shit. So you just made them some money.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of that going around, and there's people pushing that kind of thing. And in Steam, it's more the hey, this is only a $2 game. It's pretty cool. We're gonna try and artificially inflate our reviews, and then get people to give us $2 100 times or 1,000 times, and then sweet. I whipped it up in my basement in a week, so I made $200 off of it.
Yeah.
Done. Like, so if they set it at like $100 or so, that'll cut out a lot of the actual shit. If they set it at like $1,000, that's going to cut out most of the indie developers, and that is not what I want. And I think it's a bad decision for them, but also like it's really sleazy in general as well, and I don't want that.
They did say, what is it? They're talking about fees as low as $100 to as high as $5,000. And they did say it was recoupable, but now the question is, A, when is it when do I recoup that? Do I get it all back? You gonna divide it out over X amount of months? Like, what's the deal? Like that part is still under wraps.
If you get like a bigger cut of the pie than Steam does, compared to Steam than normal, until you recoup that, and then it goes to the normal, like whatever the usual split is, that'd be a pretty fair way to run it. Because Steam is still making money off of you submitting the game, and if you don't sell enough of them, well, they keep it then. So
I
don't
guess
put
it's
shit
kind
in
of
there.
like a security deposit on their investment on putting you on their platform, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So if they run it that way, where you get most or even all of it up to that point, and then it goes to the usual developer Steam split after that, I think that'd be good. But I don't know. I want to know what makes the difference. Why is it sometimes 100 and sometimes $5,000? Like what's that scale? That's important, Steam. Tell me that.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, because right now the only reason why I get on Steam is for like some of the big games, like games that I know are good, or games that I know I like. I've tried doing the indie thing, but there are so many indie titles now, and 98% of them are just bad. That I've actually gone to Good Old Games, GOG, and I've even got some games from the Humble Bundle store. And I mean, like, hopefully, maybe some people be ran off of Steam, but hopefully some good developers will find, maybe they go to Good Old Games, maybe they go to Humble Bundle, maybe someone else will say, hey, bring me all your shovelware. I don't give a fuck. Like that would be interesting. That would be kind of cool if that kind of competition did kind of spring up from this decision from Steam or Valve, I guess.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go eat dinner and go to bed.
All right, we're gonna just go ahead and wrap it up here.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry for the short show, but I think we got enough content through. All right. Thank you guys for listening and watching to episode 38 of the Secret Cow Level podcast. You have a nice day.
Bye, folks.
Later.
How do I stop the stream?